Hello, 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 hello. Sean Brady and another fabulous Leverage Your Lunch Hour where we might not be eating lunch together, but we certainly want to impact your thinking and prosperity in the world whenever your lunch hour is 24/7 around the planet. I am here with the fabulous Dr. Laurel Clark, who's been a longtime friend we discovered at least 2 years now. And we have been talking on the metaphysical mindset series that Dr. Clark has had extensive background in. I know you were at the School of Metaphysics, Dr. Clark, for at least a couple of years as president and teacher and professor. And when I say a couple, I mean a couple of decades. And then also for this, I'm going to get it wrong, but the sleep, intuitive sleep,
International Association for the Study of Dreams.
It's such a long name. Why does it have to be so long?
IASD.
We like acronyms, and I'll butcher it again. So right. I do love the fact that it's about sleep and the study of dreams, because I've discovered so much in my misinterpretation of my dreams. And that'll be even another episode that we can get into later. But for now, a very favorite subject that's right in the title, prosperity and abundance. I think everybody wants more of that. Say a little more about what the heck the law of prosperity and abundance is all about, because I certainly have some ideas about it, and I would love to hear from you as an expert in teaching it from a metaphysical standpoint. Please go ahead, Dr. Clark.
Sure. Thanks for asking, Sean. I think that most people are very interested in prosperity and abundance. And the first thing that I want to say is, I think that both of those have much more to do with life than just money. So I don't know about you, but I've known people who objectively don't really have a lot of money, but they're happy, they have great relationships, they're fulfilled, they really appreciate everything that's in their life. I would say that those people are prosperous and abundant. And I know people who have what seems like a lot of money, but they're always worried that they don't have enough. They're not very generous. They're sometimes try to use money to buy friendships or relationships. I would not call those people prosperous or abundant. And I don't think it has to be either or. I mean, ideally, we can have fulfillment and all of the physical abundance we could want and need. So my understanding of abundance is that we have more than enough, that we understand the value of resources, and we're able to use resources to the fullest. So the way to align with the law of abundance is to aid other people to abundance. And this is something that we talk a lot about at Medici, which is where you and I met.
Yeah.
Yeah. That it's not like the world is a pie with a fixed number of pieces. It's really unlimited. So we have a strategy session that's called Coach's Corner, where any type of coach can come. And one thing that we've talked about is how coaches can be referral sources for each other. So your coaching practice centers on economic and emotional well-being. Yes. Let's say somebody comes to me, I deal with self-growth, people who are in some kind of change or transition, sometimes spiritual crisis, but I don't necessarily work with economic well-being as a focus of my coaching. So if somebody came to me who wanted that as a focus, fortunately, I know you, I can refer them to you. And instead of thinking, oh no, that could have been a client for me and I'm going to be missing out, I think, wow, I'm aiding you to abundance. And so that means that I'll have even more abundance. And with that law, it's not a tit for tat. I do this for you, you do this for me. It's more in general that when I aid others to abundance, that abundance seems to come to me, it might seem miraculous. I might not know how it happens, but it does mean that I recognize it's an abundant universe. So I expect abundance to come to me and I look out for that. And so that law specifically relates to service, how to serve other people, how to aid other people to abundance. And one of the things that I love about that is that I feel good about myself when I am really aiding somebody else, not enabling them, but really aiding them. And so that's part of the abundance too. It gives me an abundance of well-being, an abundance of, good feeling, and abundance of knowing that I'm a good person. The other law, which I learned as the law of tenfold return, and some people call the law of prosperity, is that when you give, you can expect to receive 10 times what you've given. And 10 is not, that's actually kind of metaphorical, because the tenfold return means that when you give, what you receive is multiplied in the return. It's not
Right.
that I give something to you and then you give something to me. It's that I give and I don't have to expect it to come back from you. I do expect that it's going to come from somewhere. And so part of the number 10 is that if you look for the return, you can find it. So let me give you an example that's going to.
Yeah, please do. Because I know, so where my head's going is, I think there was something like that in the Bible, and somebody shared that with me a long time ago. And then there's, the books, 10x this or 10x that, or
Right.
I'm a 10x coach. I think I've used that before. But please, yeah.
So
go in more.
When I first heard this, I had a hard time believing it. It seemed kind of, how's that even going to be possible? But I thought, okay, I'm willing to test it out and experiment with it. I was a brand new student at the School of Metaphysics at the time. And one of the things that we had in our school branches were jars that it had a sign on it that said tenfold return jar. And the idea was that students could put money in the jar, and then that money would go anonymously to help somebody in the community. And so
in your community, or beyond?
Right. It's kind of like, people give money to charity and they don't always know exactly who the person is going to go to. They might, if it's a GoFundMe account, but they might give to a food bank or to their church or somewhere. They know it's going to go to help.
That makes more sense.
Somebody.
Okay,
so
great.
I was 22 at the time, just out of college. I didn't have a huge amount of money. And this was a long time ago, 1979. So I put 50 cents in there. I don't know how much 50 cents would be worth now, more than that, but not a huge amount.
$5 at least.
So I put the 50 cents in the jar. I gave it freely. I was happy about the fact that it would go to a good cause. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to watch for the return. So within a week, I was living in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and there was a dance concert I wanted to go to that I hadn't bought a ticket to. I went with a friend of mine. We're standing in line and we find out that the concert was sold out. So I was so disappointed because I really wanted to go. And I was talking with my friend who decided he wasn't going to wait around. So he left, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to stay here in line because maybe at the last minute, a ticket will be available, especially since now I'm here on my own.
Sure.
So anyway, the woman in front of us in line heard our conversation. She turned around and said, "Do you need a ticket, dear?" And I said, "Well, yes, I do." And she said, "My husband was supposed to come with me and he couldn't come. So here, you can have his ticket." So I said, "Thank you so much. I, really want to see this concert." And I pulled out my wallet to pay her. She said, "Oh, you don't need to pay me. Just pass it on sometime." So at that time, it was hard for me to receive. I said, "Are you sure?" She said, "Yes, I'm sure." And so I received it graciously. And I didn't think more about it until I was walking home, and I realized that ticket cost $5, which was exactly 10 times the 50 cents I had put in that tenfold return jar.
Wow.
So that was such a dramatic, specific example that showed me that it returns. It's not that someone handed me a $5 bill, but that ticket was worth $5. And so part of the art of activating that law is, first of all, to expect the return. And then second of all, to watch for it, because if I had been not paying attention, I never would have even noticed that that was how that return came to me. So, sometimes it can return in terms of somebody doing you a favor that you would otherwise pay for. It might come in the form of a discount. It could come in terms of money. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was walking on my outdoor path in the woods and I found two $20 bills on the ground. It wasn't like in front of a store where I could return it to somebody. So, that return
Wow.
kind of came out of the universe.
That's kind of cool. Huh.
Yep.
Well, okay. So I think part of what I'm understanding is that you really need to be aware for the return.
Right.
It doesn't mean you have to expect it from one person. And I know, having done a lot of networking for business, it's like, I think people fall into the trap of, it's like, oh, I gave you a referral. Where's my referral from you versus, oh, look at all the referrals I'm getting.
Right. Exactly. And what you're talking about there is unconditional giving and receiving. So the law of tenfold return does mean that you expect a return and you watch for it, but it doesn't mean that you expect it from the person you've given it to or from the place you've given it to. So you're not putting conditions on how and where and when it's going to come back. You just expect it's going to come back from somewhere. And so that helps in being able to give in a much more free and unconditional manner. I mean, sometimes the reason why people have a hard time receiving is they don't want to receive the strings that go with something. It's like, okay, if I receive this gift from you, then am I going to be obligated to you?
Right.
And people don't want that. And so they say, no, I'm not going to receive from you, instead of graciously receiving it and then being willing to pass it on. So even in the example I gave, I don't know if that woman knew about the law of tenfold return, but what she said is just pass it on sometime. So that was her attitude and her mindset is, this ticket would otherwise go to waste. I want to give it to you. I'm happy to give it to you. And, somewhere, sometime, you do a good deed for someone else.
Wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Prosperity and abundance right here with Dr. Laurel Clark. Is there anything else we can say about prosperity? Because I know I just love the word, first of all. But would you say more about prosperity? Because, what does that mean from a metaphysical, through the metaphysical looking glass, if you will?
I think that it means being aware of what we have, being grateful for what we have, and recognizing when we have more than enough for our own needs. So then we're willing to be generous and share with other people. So in an ideal world, people are not afraid that they're going to lose. They're not afraid that they're going to not have enough. And so they're not just willing to help other people, they're happy about helping other people. And that's the prosperity. So, I mean, a really good metaphor for that is when somebody grows a garden and they have way more tomatoes than they can use, or way more zucchini than they can use. What are they going to do? Let it sit and rot in their kitchen?
Right. No.
They give it away to their neighbors. And so then not only does the person who's growing them have an abundance of food, their neighbors have an abundance of food. And maybe the neighbors know how to can. So, they receive more tomatoes than they can use. They can them, and then they pass some of those on to their neighbors. So that's kind of the metaphor and the philosophy of prosperity.
Yeah, I know of a farmer where they don't go to the farm a lot, but they have this plot of land, really. But at one point, there was a pretty well looked after orchard, of I don't know, a dozen or so pear trees, and they just don't visit the farm. And I'm like, oh well, there's do the animals eat all these pears and stuff off of that? I mean, they can't get up to the high ones, but there was no pears on the trees when I visited the farm. And they're like, oh, somebody just comes along and picks them, and they do whatever they need to do with them. But kind of like the lady with the extra ticket, they're going to go to waste if we don't use them. The animals won't eat the rotten fruit, and we're not there to manicure the land. So then there'd be a bunch of other stuff. So let it be, and it'll come back in a different way. But that whole prosperity. What a great analogy. Thank you. Thank you for that and shedding insight. For those that are interested in more of this, know that we're going to be doing future awesome episodes all around the metaphysical mindset with Dr. Laurel Clark. She's been a fabulous resource for me and many others for just understanding that metaphysics isn't all woo-woo and things that I originally thought it was at one point in time. It's really about understanding a lot of these different laws that are really applicable in everyday life. And Laurel, thank you for always grounding me and a lot of people in this type of understanding. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for asking, Sean. I appreciate your questions. And one thing that occurs to me is that wherever people are seeing this, if they have questions, if they want to post them in the comments.
Yeah, post them right down below this. This is a YouTube post we're doing live today, but wherever it is, do that. Or even better yet, go right to Dr. Clark's website. It's laurelclark.com or Laurel at laurelclark.com, right? Am I getting this?
You got it.
And she's also on Facebook at Laurel Fuller Clark. So you'll see her smiling face, her pictures all over there. And please go to her website if you're interested in anything about having a deeper understanding about metaphysics for your life, for your business, for your endeavors. And then also dreams. I have to say that too. I've learned so much about better understanding my dreams, where you are a true expert when it comes to analyzing and certainly understanding, breaking down in a very simple way what goes on while we are in a REM sleep and all over the sleep. So please check her website out for that. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Laurel?
I appreciate you, Sean, for all that you do and the knowledge that you share. And I hope that we get to hear some comments from the people who are watching this or listening.
Me too. So please, please, please add the comments out there. Jaleesa, you're on the line. Is there anything else that we missed that we should add into this fabulous episode?
I think you covered it, Sean.
All right. Medici Media Space, our fabulous media coordinator, Jaleesa Powell in the background. Thank you for all being here. And wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, be safe. Thank you for watching. And we may not see you in person, but we'll see you right here on social media. Be safe. See you soon. And of course, I wasn't prepared with the button, so I'll get that now in. We'll see you later in 3, 2, 1.